Well, good morning. I'm Richard Bunch, and I'm the Senior Minister at Unity of Richmond, and I just personally want to welcome you to this service this morning. Our goal and our desire is that when this service is over, you will feel spiritually lifted up, that you will know that you are a spiritual being having a spiritual experience in the human condition. We believe in love, we believe in peace, and we believe in joy. And so thank you for being with us.
Good morning. Of Richmond, my name is Maureen Anderson, and I'm your platform assistant today. We'll begin our service by reading the daily word, and today's theme is kindness. I flow with divine love as I give and receive kindness. The word kindness triggers feelings of warmth, connection, and love in my heart. I smile as I recall ways that friends, family members, and others have shown me kindness. I feel again the gratitude and blessing I experienced in those moments. Gratitude, love, and a beautiful awareness of connection fill my heart and mind in a remarkably similar way when I remember kindness I've shared. The movement of electrons through a wire creates a current of flow. As kindness moves from person to person, it creates a flow of divine love. Both giving and receiving are essential to this current of love, so I look for opportunities to share acts of kindness. I welcome with a grateful heart the kindness others share with me. And from Micah chapter 6, verse 8, what does the Lord require of you but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God? Please say the affirmation with me 3 times. I flow with divine love as I give and receive kindness. I flow with divine love as I give and receive kindness. I flow with divine love as I give and receive kindness.
Used to think that I should. Scripture told me that I had to be good. Now I love because I want to. Now I love because I'm free. Guided by the Spirit. Whoa, the Spirit of God is upon me. The Spirit of God is upon me. Spirit of God is upon me. Spirit of God is upon me. Spirit of God is upon me.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. Thank you, band. That was beautiful. And now let us center on that thought. The Spirit of God is upon us. This day is a day full of blessings, and as we allow the Spirit of God flow through us throughout the day, through all of our interactions as we meet and greet people, as we go about our tasks, we bring that love, that feeling, that expanded energy of being connected with God with us. And as we shine God's light out into the world, it just grows and grows, and it's a beautiful thing. For this we say thank you. Amen. Let us say the Metro Richmond prayer together. There are many other people in Richmond praying this prayer this morning, and we join our voices and our hearts with them as we say, we pray for the families of metropolitan Richmond, for the care and protection of infants, children, and youth, and for the intimate knowledge that each one is a beloved child of God. And we have opportunities. There are lots of ways to get involved here at Unity of Richmond, and they include the following. Svarupa Yoga. It's offered by Deborah Woodward via Zoom on Wednesdays in the morning from 9:30 a.m. until 10:45, and in the evening from 6 p.m. until 7:45. You can register by contacting Deb at the number 804-338-1105. Those are wonderful classes, very renewing. We have a live stream of meditation on Wednesdays at 6:30, and you can connect via our facebook.com/Unity of Richmond to see those. They're wonderful. And we have a volunteer opportunity. We're recruiting. We would like to know if you are interested in getting involved with our audiovisual team. You don't need to have any previous AV experience, and if you're interested, just contact our AV director, Natasha Fleet, at 804-447-2350. They are training somebody right now. It's easy. It can be done. It's fun. Join us. Unity is looking to form a team for holiday decorations. If you're interested, please see Reverend Richard or Kristen, our assistant. There's a celebration of life ceremony on December 2nd at 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. Please join us as we come together for an evening of reflection and remembrance to celebrate and honor the lives of our loved ones. I think in the email it said to send pictures, if you like, of your loved ones, Richard. Isn't that right? Yes, so please feel free. If there's a loved one you'd like to honor and celebrate no matter when they passed, send their picture and come be with us. We are featuring a Feed More food drive. We encourage your generosity in donating cans and bulk non-perishable items. Donations can be dropped off during Unity office hours, and we will work with the Feed More group to get that food to them, and they will distribute it to those in need. Thank you.
Well, good morning again. Isn't it beautiful out? Wow, it was close to winter when I got up this morning about 6 o'clock and let the dog out, but it's warmed up a lot. So we're still in Indian summer, I think. It's been beautiful, beautiful. A little wet, but beautiful, and this week's going to be all dry. I'm affirming that. And it's confirming and affirming, that's what I'm doing, okay? So anyway, I just want to welcome again each and every one of you, and thank you for being here this morning. I thank each and every person who is participating with us, and we feel and know that the Spirit of God is moving in and around each and every one of us, those here and those at home. So thank you for being with us this morning. Is there anybody here for the first time this morning? Anybody visiting for the first time this morning? Okay, so all of you kind of know the routine. If you want to know more about Unity and don't know that, please see me after the service. I'm available for that, and would love to meet you and talk with you if we haven't met before. So again, thank you for being here, and we're just going to have a great day. And so let's share this affirmation together, that Unity of Richmond is abundantly blessed, creative people are drawn to us, divine ideas flow through us, financial resources bless us, and with God as our source, we accomplish mighty works together. And so we are blessed in many, many ways. One of the things I'd like to share with you that happened this week is we had a very generous donation, and we paid off our credit card, which was around $27,000, okay? So Source is at work, and we are truly, truly blessed in so many ways. But we still have, just don't get away from it too much, okay? We've paid the credit card off, but we still have salaries, and we still have utilities, and we still have those things. So don't say, well, gosh, I can miss a week of giving, okay? Just continue to do as you do, which is bless us with your gifts on a regular basis. We have so many consistent givers now, and it is truly a blessing that this program is in place, and thank you for that. Now, I'm not asking for the offering right now, but I just wanted to mention this to you because I'm so excited about it and excited about the direction which we're going. And so thank you again. And now let us hear our friend Katrina and Ian singing Migratory 5. Migratory V.
Together in the sky.
You know, I should know that because every morning now when I get up, the geese form a V over our house and fly by over the river. It's quite beautiful, so thank you.
Well, that's perfect. That's the image that you want to hold in your head or in your consciousness as Ian and I perform this song, Migratory V. We sail above the weather. We search the ocean floor. We rival our creation. Still yearning for more, but can we fly together? A migratory V. How wonderful if that's what God could see. A single voice in whispered prayer can only pray to travel there. But all as one, we sound the everlasting sound and sing our salvation. Aloft and in formation, a migratory V. How wonderful if that's what God could see. Thank you, beloveds.
Thank you, Ian. Maestro, and thank you, Katrina. Migratory V. Well, you know, for the last few weeks now, we've been talking about living originally. What we're really talking about is going back to our origin, to that which created us. Some of us call it God, some of us call it Spirit, some of us call it the I Am, some call it the Christ within, some call it the Buddha. Whatever it is the origin of our beingness, the I Am within us. It is the inner self that we come to understand, so that the inner creates our outer expression, so that we're in alignment with ourselves, with that which created us, and with life itself. And we talked about things such as being radically self-aware, being aware of how you are showing up, what you are doing, what you are saying, what you are thinking. And it ought to probably be done in a different order, what you are thinking and then what you're saying. We talked about deep appreciation of oneself, that we don't want to criticize ourselves, but instead we want to appreciate who we are and what we are. That each of our life's experiences are created so that we can understand ourselves at a deeper level. And then we talked about forgiveness. And we talked about radical forgiveness. That in some ways there's nothing to forgive, because we each are here as expressions of spirit, sharing with each other life and learning from one another. We show up in relationships. I happen to think that's why we're here, is to have relationships, to experience those relationships so that we can grow in consciousness and become more aware and more of an expression of all that is. That we become an expression of love, we become an expression of wisdom, we become an expression of understanding, we become an expression of will, we become an expression of enthusiasm and imagination. And as we express that, we then have an effect on ourselves and the world that's positive, that's loving, that's caring. Now, the next part of the series is finding or living in the heart of desire. And that's part of living originally. What is my heart's desire? How do I understand that? How do I come to understand it? And in order to do that, what I want to do is share a little bit about a topic that you may be surprised by, and that's death. Now, we in Unity call it transition, because we're just like everybody else. We don't really want to use the word death very often, because death means you're gone. It means you've left. You've gone somewhere, and we don't always know where. And so, in order to find our heart's desire, one of our opportunities is to literally talk with death. There's a quote that came from Don Juan Matus, who was an Augie sorcerer, what would be called a yogi in India, what would be called a mystic in Europe, and he lived in Mexico. And there was a young man who, in the 60s, went to see and met him, kind of accidentally, because he went to Mexico to study psychedelic drugs. They were kind of around and a big thing in the 60s. And he was trying to study that from the Mexican perspective, and he was a graduate student, and he met Don Juan in Mexico. And he asked Don Juan, what is the most important thing for me to embrace in order to live a better life, to fulfill my purpose? And this was the answer he got. Death is your eternal companion. It is always at your left, at an arm's length. It is always watching you. It is always, and it always will, until the day it taps you, I guess, on the shoulder. So think about that for a second. How do we live with death? So this morning, what I thought I would do is do something that I was taught a number of years ago, and do it occasionally now. I don't do it as often. And I want to have a chair here, and then I'm going to bring another chair over. And this chair is my chair, and this is death. So I'm going to have a conversation with death this morning. And there's some questions that I kind of want to ask death about, okay? Well, death, good morning. I know you're always with me. I'm kind of glad that I can talk to you right now in the human condition. And I don't particularly want to leave, but I do have some questions that might help me in understanding what's important. Death, what do I fear most about dying? Richard, I'm not sure that you fear dying, but if there is a fear, is that you're not really certain what's going to happen. Well, tell me, what is going to happen? I'd like to know. You would be amazed if I told you. But I really don't know exactly because it's different for each and every person. So, Death, what is important for me to finish before you tap me on the shoulder? You ought to get busy and finish that book. Oh. Because each of us has a legacy, and you have a legacy. And it's important for you, Richard, to decide what your legacy will be. So, what should be my legacy? That's really not for me to say. That's your choice. Think about your parents and Vicky's parents. What was their legacy? Well, Vicky's father's legacy would be that he truly, truly loved God with all his heart and all his mind. There's no doubt. And he taught us to do that. And for Vicky's mother, Edith, it was that she lived life knowing that God was love. She understood that. And so she shared that love with many people. And then there was my mom. And she was truly an expression of God. She saw the whole world through rose-colored glasses. Some people thought something was wrong with that. But she didn't, and I certainly don't. And then there was my dad. What was his legacy to us? And my dad decided what truth was for him, and he lived that. Even when it would be not the religious thing to do. For example, my dad was a deacon in the Baptist church. And when the minister said to him, well, do you believe this is the only way to heaven? He said, well, if that means I got to give up being a deacon, I've got to tell you I don't. He said, I don't believe that God killed Jesus. That's a pretty big statement to make. And the minister said, well, I think we need you as a deacon. And so my dad may have been the only deacon in the Baptist church ever who did not believe that Jesus died for his sins. But he stuck to his truth. And he stuck to it in such a way that he shared it with others without any sense of shame or any sense of that he was wrong or they were wrong. It's just what he believed. And so when I look at those four individuals, I find a legacy that says, I wonder why Richard and Vicki ended up being ministers. That was our legacy. And it impacted us more than we probably ever knew until we got older and could evaluate it. And so, death, I understand that my job is to leave a legacy. But what should it be? And I haven't changed roles this time, but anyway. And again, death says, you keep asking me that question, I'm going to keep telling you, it's up to you. You've got to find your legacy. And so death really helps each of us find our heart's desire. Think about that. When I admit that death is part of life, then I can evaluate the way I am living life. When I'm willing to have a conversation with death that wasn't quite as morbid as you might have thought it was going to be, I'm able to understand myself at a different level, to see myself as one who is living in this human consciousness. And when I start to understand that, I am willing to again have those conversations with death, which gives me clarity on what is my desire. What is my heart's desire? I have two thoughts here about desire. One comes from H.M. Emily Cady from Lessons in Truth. And she says that desire is the heart. Desire in the heart is always God tapping at the door of your consciousness with Spirit's infinite supply. A different way of looking at desire. It is God tapping through your heart, is the way I would say that, at the door of your heart, and allowing you to understand the consciousness that creates for you infinite supply. Infinite supply. All that you need, all that you have to have. And that when we listen to Spirit, then things start to happen because we are guided by Spirit. That when we listen to Spirit, we start to understand what our desire really is and how to manage that desire. Now, the Buddha said that desire is the cause of all suffering. Now, that kind of sounds like two different ways of looking at it, right? And it is, in a sense. But some people have, and they may be right, I don't know, have interpreted that as saying that desire, we should have no desire. And I'm not sure that's even possible in the human condition, not to have desire. The question becomes, do I become addicted to my desire? Am I so attached to my desire that I am in pain when I don't get it? Am I so afflicted by desire that I feel like I'm less than? That I feel like maybe something's missing in my life, and so I carry that in such a way that it creates possibly depression, anxiety, and maybe sometimes when I look at desire, what I find is that I am tied up with addictive behavior, and there are all kinds. I know what I am addicted to, and I know that I have to manage that I have to admit that. and have to be aware of that in my life. And so in order to manage my desire, there are 4 things I just want to share with you this morning. One is that we must evaluate our desire. What is really important to me? What is it that will really drive me in the right way and will allow me to be in charge of ego rather than being ego in charge of me? What in my life is important enough that I am willing to sacrifice that which I think is important so that I can live that which is important? So I need to evaluate desire in my life. The second thing I need to do is negotiate so that I can find my real desire. I need to negotiate because, you see, I cannot fulfill every desire that comes to my mind, that comes to my body, that comes in my life. It's impossible because I am filled with lots of desires. So what's the most important desire? And how do I show up with that desire? And how do I let that desire rule my life? The desire to know myself, the desire to be an expression of the I am, those are desires that come to the top of the list for me. The desire to live life in such a way that it makes a difference for others, that I'm able to serve, and you are able to serve. That's what we teach in Unity. The desire to know that there's only one presence and one power. The desire to know that I am that presence and that power. You are that presence and that power. And that through that presence and power, I can bring into my life infinite supply as it is needed to carry out and be the expression of God. And then I have to eliminate any desire that I become addicted to. Eliminate it? Maybe not. But be aware of it and manage it and not allow it to be in charge. There are all kinds, as I said earlier, of addictions. Mine, early on, was money. And it wasn't just money, it was spending money. I could not go in a store without spending money. And so I needed to make money in order to do that. So I was feeding, you see, my addiction by making more money. That's not the reason we make money that's healthy. And I had to learn that. And it created a number of issues in my life that were challenging. But when I understood that I was addicted to that, then I had to do something about it. And life has a way of creating opportunities for you that don't look like opportunities so that you do something about it. And so at one point I had plenty of money, and at one point I had hardly no money. And I had to live with that and understand that that was where I needed to be in order to be in charge of this addiction and manage the addiction. And to let that not be my greatest desire. Because really it was futile. It just made me feel good and made me feel worthy, and it was anything but that. What I found in time was that I am worthy because I am an expression of the divine. You are worthy because you are an expression of the divine. So the need to spend money, I had to give up. And I have, but I'm still aware that I'm not careful. You get me in a department store, and I go right back to where I used to be. And I have to be aware And so sometimes I actually walk through a department store without buying anything and pat myself on the shoulder, okay? Now, that may sound silly to some people. Some people don't want to give up a dime, but others want to spend it, and I was the spender. And so I had to be aware of that and work on that. I know that we have folks in this ministry who have been able to release addictive behavior, but are very aware of it and are very much involved in helping others do the same. What a blessing. So eliminate any negative desire, any desire that causes me, that gets in the way of my sense of being one with God. And then I have to communicate. And how do I communicate? It's through spirit. It's by allowing the tapping on my heart to be my guide. It is about making a decree of what I want and how I want to show up. You know, my first encounter with death as a Unity minister happened just about 20 years ago. There was a woman named Emily in our ministry. She was very active in the ministry, and she came every Sunday. She sat close to the front row. And I got a phone call from a family member and said, I'd like for you to visit my mother. She's been diagnosed with cancer. And she's in the hospital, and they're telling her she won't have long to live. So I got in my car, and I am talking to myself, and I am saying, Richard, why are you doing this? That was the first time I admitted I'm scared of death. Who am I to go over and talk to her? And yet, as I drove across the mountain to the hospital and went in to see her, I didn't know what I was going to say or do, because I hadn't had any really training on this. And frankly, when members of my family passed away, I didn't want to be there. I was so afraid of death. And so I went into Emily's room, of course, and saw her and said, you want to share with me what's going on? That's the only thing I need to say. And she said, I sure do. She said, they just told me that I've got liver cancer and I have 3 months to live. And I'm kind of angry about that. And I said, really? And she said, yeah. And I said, well, why are you angry? She said, because I want to see my granddaughter, my youngest granddaughter, I've seen them all graduate from high school. It's a very important thing in our family. And I said, well, when's that going to happen? She said, 3 years from now. And for some reason, I said to her, well, what are you going to do about it? And she said, I hadn't thought of that. She said, I think I'm going to live 3 more years to see my granddaughter graduate. That's the desire of my heart. And I said, well, what about the doctors? And she said, I don't think I'm going to listen to them. Emily lived for 3 years and 1 month. She watched her granddaughter graduate. She went to bed, and she accepted death. What a story, huh? I didn't have anything to do with it. She said what she wanted to do. All I had to do was just sit and listen. And I learned a lot by that experience. And Tom Hartman is in the process of his transition. He is now in a home where he's being taken care of. He's been in a hospital. And Tom was told a while back that he probably had a couple years to live at best. But he has become, through desire, conscious of where he wants to be and how he wants to make his transition. And he's doing it, and beautifully. While he was in a hospital, the only thing that was challenging was he was a little bit of an evangelist for Unity. And that's good. But he was telling them why he was ready to make what we call the transition and accept death. It was a beautiful, beautiful thing to be a part of and to watch. He has a loving family who's taking care of him. He has people here who are genuinely, genuinely interested in visiting him, and it's pretty much close to impossible right now. He is taking his emails, text messages, if you want to contact him. But Tom is an example of how he has stepped into this understanding of death and what's his heart's desire. And I just want to mention that because I know how close he is to so many of you and what a blessing he's been in your lives and what a blessing he's been in my life. And so as we move through this process of death, what we can do, and we all are in the process, by the way, after today, you'll have one day less. And it's okay. And I'm glad I don't know when it's going to come at this point in my life. But I know it's closer than it's ever been. And yet, I'm not afraid. And I do feel I have more time because I have some other desires, some other things that I think are important for me to create whatever legacy I'm supposed to create. And I invite you on that same journey, that find your heart's desire. If you want to allow death to be your companion in finding that heart's desire. Did you know there are groups in the United States who meet once a month, once a week, to talk about and have conversations with death? And they help each other work on that? Maybe that's something we could consider. If you're interested, let me know. Because most important thing for each of us is to say to ourselves, I am living my true heart's desire. That's what I want for you. That's what I want for myself. And in that, we will be a much stronger and more united community. Live originally. Live your heart's desire. And allow death to be your friend, not something you fear. God bless you. Okay, I think the next thing I'm supposed to do is meditate. Are you ready for that? Let's get ready for it, okay? And so I'm just going to use this ringing bowl here and just let the sound resonate within you and relax you and have you come and be in touch with your higher self. And so gently relax into this moment. Put your hand, your right hand over your heart. Left hand on top of that. Feel your heartbeat. That is the heartbeat of desire. It emanates from your heart. It guides you and directs you. So that as divine mind, you manage your thoughts. You manage your ideas. You are a creative and beautiful expression of the divine. Your spirit guides and directs you. We acknowledge that your spirit is eternal. Spirit was there before you came into this human consciousness, and it will be there after you leave this human condition. So settle into that. And know that you are connected at the heart level with all that is divine. And affirm Emily Cady's statement that through the heart there is infinite supply. All of your needs are met through this source. Your need to understand, your need for love, your need to thrive, your need to demonstrate, the principle that you are. Your need to be in the human condition, but it not be the human condition. And so again, pay attention to that heart space as you feel the beat of your heart, life itself pulsating through you. And know as you go deeper that this is a source that is dependable, that is always present, and that changes to meet my needs and my desires, your needs and your desires. And so sit in that place for a moment. And be conscious of your truth, of who and what you are. Rest for a moment. Relax into this beingness. Into this place. Now gently take your hands and your fingers and place them on your forehead, over your eyes, close together. And now allow your fingers to come apart. See the light and gently open your eyes to this present moment. to who and what you are and to the love that surrounds you. And so it is. Amen. And so I want to say thank you. First, I want to say thank you for each of you for being here this morning, for wearing your mask, for preparing yourself for that vaccine which is on the way, and affirming that we will get through COVID-19. And I thank the band this morning. I thank Ian and Forrest. And Ryan, thank you. I was going to say Shay, and I know that's not right. I'm so sorry. But Ryan, okay? I've already spoken to him this morning. Call his name. For Katrina, who blesses us on a regular basis. And for our sound department with the trainees. Okay? Working with Rick is Fred. I think nobody else is in there this morning, but somebody will be there soon. We have other people who are going to work in there and learn it. So we've had some volunteers. Again, if you want to learn, if you want to share, that's a way to do it. And it really touches a lot of lives because through our live streaming, we are literally touching hundreds of people throughout the year. And so again, thank each and every one of you. And now let's affirm our offering. And most of our offering now comes through the mail, comes through direct deposit. Some comes here when people leave it, and we appreciate the many, many ways in which we are blessed. You can go 77977, put in Unity Richmond, and you will be able to make a donation in this very moment if you would like. And so again, thank you for your donations. Let's say together our prosperity blessing, assuring ourselves of God's love. Divine love, expressing through me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. Now together, I am grateful. Thank you.
It's a really old city, stuck between the dead and the living. So I thought to myself, sitting on a graveyard shelf, as the echo of heartbeats from the ground below my feet filled a cemetery in the center of Queens. I started running the maze of the names and the dates. Some older than others, skyscrapers, little tombstone brothers, with Manhattan behind her. 3 million stunning reminders filled a cemetery in the center of Queens. You said, remember that life is not meant to be wasted. We can always be chasing the sun. So fill up your lungs and just run, but always be chasing the sun. So how do you do it? With just words and just music, to capture the feeling that my earth is somebody's ceiling. Can I deliver in sound the weight of the ground of a cemetery in the center of Queens? There's a history through her sent to us as a gift from the future, to show us the truth. More than that, it's to dare us to move and to open our eyes and to learn from the signs in a cemetery in the center of Queens. You said, remember that life is not meant to be wasted. We can always be chasing the sun. So fill up your lungs and just run, but always be chasing the sun. All we can do is try. And live like we're still alive. It's a really old city, stuck between the dead and the living. So I thought to myself, sitting on a graveyard shelf, and the gift of my heartbeat sounds like a symphony played by a cemetery in the center of Queens. You said, remember that life is not meant to be wasted. We can always be chasing the sun. So fill up your lungs and just run. But always be chasing the sun. All we can do is try. And live like we're still alive. All we can do is try. And live like we're still alive. Thank you, beloveds. Thank you.
Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, band. That's wonderful. And this must be our song, because every time you play it, I'm platform host. And every time they play it, I've told a funny story from my childhood, and you all know how it goes, I think. But just in case it's the first time you've heard it, I'm going to share. I grew up in New York. I grew up in Queens. I see another fellow New Yorker here who we know what that cemetery looks like. That cemetery is full of gravestones that peek up from the ground with an architectural structure that echoes that of the city, and it just rolls for, it feels like miles and miles and miles and miles and miles. It's incredible. And when we drive by in the car full of the family, my dad would say, "Hey, kids, how many people in that cemetery are dead?" And we'd say, "All of them." Anyway, so thank you. And now, due to this song, we know there's 3 million. There's 3 million. And also, thank you for your message, Richard. That song ties in so nicely with your message that, you know, death can be viewed as a friend and not a foe. And it can help us guide our life, and we can check in and ask those 4 questions. What do we fear? What will we miss? What do we have left to do? And what's our legacy? So it's just really beautiful. I love how our music team ties everything in. So we give thanks for the gifts that will support our mission of creating a spiritually awakened world. And so it is. Next, we do the prayer of protection. Join me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.